Good morning, all. Happy Independence Day to everyone. Thank you for joining us on this very exciting lecture on our international lecture series, How to Detect Lie and Deception. I thank you, our instructor, Stephen David, for accepting our invitation and giving time us for this session. And this session is going to be one of the best session. I request my co-host, Mr. Faninder sir, to take care of the session further and give that, although Steven doesn't require any introduction, but as for the things we have to say something about him and how he's working, what all books he has written. So like this, I request Faninder sir to proceed with this introduction of our esteemed speaker, Steven. I thank you once again, Steven, for accepting our invitation and taking our time to deliver a wonderful session. Faninder sir,
it's my honor. It's my honor. Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, I welcome the guest for the day, Mr. Stephen David. Here, he is the founder and director of the Welfare Institute of Forensics and Criminal Justice, and he himself is a lie detection expert. On behalf of SIFS and on behalf of Dr. Ranjit Singh, I, Faninder BN, would be giving a brief introduction about the guest for the day, about Mr. Stephen. Stephen is a former 21-year career police officer, and he was an undercover SUV detective. Stephen has worked in cases, which can be seen today on the Investigation Discovery, the Discovery channels of Fox, and various electronic and print medias have covered his work at different occasions across his career. Stephen was the negotiating and arresting officer of the one moment. Sorry, because this screen is overlapping my content. I'm sorry for that. However, Mr. Stephen was the negotiating and arresting officer of the Paramount Killer, a serial killer featured on America's Most Wanted series. He worked closely with the FBI, Department of Justice, United States Attorney's Office, the United States Postal Inspector Service, USPIS, and well as Alabama Attorney General's Office is the places where he usually have worked in the past. And for a period of, in the recent days, he has also associated with many of the corporates, the leading corporates across the globe. And he also has been working as a corporate security training officer for the second largest physical security company in the world, and worked with clients such as Mercedes-Benz, Honeywell, Goodyear, and other international brands. Stephen is an author of numerous true crime books, a contributor to Law Enforcement Today, Death Investigator magazine, and the former host of the acclaimed crime and forensic radio show heard in Los Seattle, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, across the world. There are a lot of radio channels, who has been hosting him at different occasions. Stephen is a law and crime and deception writer for Psychology Today and a regular guest on Crime Stories with Nancy Grace with over 50 appearances. He has spoken on CrimeCon for the last 2 years alongside with speakers as Nancy Grace, Dateline, NBC crew, and there are a lot of celebrities with whom he has shared his dayas. Over this, he has been an author of various books which are of very significant importance to the investigation aspects. A few of it you can already see on the screen, which includes How to Catch a Liar, Outside Your Door, Serial Killer, True Crime Facts, and it's not just limited. There has been several books which he has authored, and definitely we are fortunate to host Mr. Stephen David Lampley in this session today. Sir, I am pleased to offer you the dayas here. So from this time onwards, the session is over to you, and we are awaiting to listen to your session, sir. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. let's see here. For some reason, it's not wanting to screen share. Hold on here. Okay, there we go. All right, it's my honor, and I really, honestly, am honored to be here, and I appreciate you asking. Let me go ahead and advance that. We've seen all that. Inviting me to be a part of this. I really am very honored to be a part. Thank you so very much. All right, let's just get on with it. There's a lot of material. I'm going to try to cram all of this into. I'm going to get rid of me for a minute so you can see the screen instead of me. Try to get all this material in an hour. So bear with me, and I may go a little fast, but I'm going to try to get everything in. All right. There's some things we need to go over right off the bat. Number one, chill out. Don't get mad at me because I'm going to throw some material and I'm going to throw some statistics out that have to do with lying. I'm not calling anybody here a liar, okay? That's not what I'm doing. But when I'm going to give you some stats on men and women about lying, but I'm not calling anybody a liar. I've had some people in the past say, I don't like that you call me a liar. Well, I'm not. The second thing that you need to remember, you're going to get a lot of information here in the next 57 minutes. Do not go out though and start taking this and start using it right away. This takes practice. You're going to learn the basics. You're going to learn the physical, the verbal, the combination indicators. You're going to learn how to assess what it is that you see, assess what it is that you hear, but don't go out immediately and start applying this in real life situations, but instead go out and continue learning, watch people, listen to people, look for these indicators, go online to YouTube. 3 videos in particular, and you may want to write this down. There's 3 videos in particular that you should watch among others. The first one is our former president, Bill Clinton. His famous speech, I did not have sexual relations. Watch that video. There are several indicators of lying in that brief video there. Also go to YouTube and search Diane Downs, D-O-W-N-S. She has a textbook example of a duping delight smile, one of the big indicators of lying. And then also go to YouTube and search for Chris Watts. Chris Watts' first interview that he did standing outside his home. You're going to see several lying indicators in that video. All right. Now, one of the first questions, one of the biggest questions that I get from people is Steve, how do people react when you tell them that you know they're lying to you? Well, they don't react to me at all because I don't tell them. Now, that was different when I was a police officer. If I'm interrogating somebody, that's a totally different environment, totally different world, totally different situation. If I'm interrogating someone about a murder or robbery, that's different. Yeah, I may just get in their face and say, I know you're lying to me, but it's different in the civilian world. So I find it more advantageous to know they're lying than to tell them I know. So I very rarely ever tell them anymore. In the civilian realm, I'm retired police now, so I'm not a police officer, but I find it more advantageous just to know they're lying to me than to reveal that. All right, let's talk about men and women. Again, now, I'm not calling anybody a liar, but let's talk about the differences in lying between men and women. Let's talk about the women first. Women typically will lie for different reasons than men. Women will typically lie to comfort someone, to be tactful, be nice, be polite, or to save someone's feelings. For instance, maybe there's a couple of ladies out together and one of the other ladies says, hey, is my makeup okay? Do I look nice? And the makeup may look atrocious. It may look absolutely horrible, or the dress or the attire may look horrendous. It may look awful. But usually the other lady's going to say, oh, honey, no, that looks great. But they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, so they'll lie in order to save their feelings. Now, women will lie on average 3 to 4 times per day. Now, men, well, Men are not as polite about that. They lie. We lie for different reasons. We typically lie to make ourselves look better. Excuse me. We are egocentric. We're ego-centered. We want to make ourselves look good. We're self-aggrandizing. We want to puff ourselves up and make people think we're better than we are. Men now will lie 5 to 6 times per day. Now, these are averages. It depends on how many people that you're out talking to. It's a lot of variables, but on average, men are going to lie 5 to 6 times a day, women 3 to 4 times per day. Now, you can go online and look, and there's all kinds, depending on who you read, what resources, what studies you go by, you're going to find any number of people who have different opinions on the types of lies. Some say there's 7 types, some say there's 12. I have narrowed it down to 3 categories that I'm comfortable with using. And I'm going to explain those to you. One is what we call the little white lie. It's not going to cause anybody any problems. It's not criminal. It's like the little white lie the woman just told. Oh, it looks fine, honey. It's okay. You look good. Well, that's not causing anybody any real problems. Now, the second type of lie is what I call the trouble lie. It's to keep somebody out of trouble. Let's say that somebody comes into the break room at work and says, who took the last soda? Who took the last cup of coffee? Well, they say it in such a manner like there was something wrong with it. So the person says, oh, it wasn't me, but it really was them. It's not really a white lie. They did it, but it's not a criminal thing. So it's sort of like in between. Then, of course, we have the criminal lies, which is I did not kill him or I did not rob the store. Those are very basic categories, and those are the ones that I use, and they work well for me. All right, let's talk about some interesting facts. If you're out in the business world, and if you're at home in your bed and you've got the covers, you've got the blankets and everything pulled up to your nose, and you stay in bed all day, this is not going to apply to you. But if you're out in the business world, you can hear as many as 100 and maybe even 200 lies in a day's time. It just depends on how many people you encounter. When we meet someone new, you'll typically hear 2 to 3 lies in the first 10 minutes of their conversation. Lying and deception accounts for approximately $1 trillion in business loss every year. It's a huge, huge problem, and it's increasing every year, not some years, every year. There are more lies told in the month of January than any other month of the year. And maybe that has something to do with people making New Year's resolutions. I don't know. More lies are told over the telephone than any other way, any other means, face-to-face or letters or text. We find that in a study done, people believe men that have beards over men who are clean shaven. Something about a beard makes men more believable, it seems. And one last thing, we find it harder on average to lie to someone that we think is attractive. If they're attractive to us, we're going to talk and be more honest with them. There's just some little facts I thought I'd throw out there. All right. Some of you may laugh when I say this, but it's actually true. Detecting lies and liars is a lot like algebra. I mean, it's a lot like it. In algebra, we have letters, numbers, and symbols. And we take those letters, numbers, and symbols, and we put them together in a certain way, in a certain formula. And then when we have a situation that comes up upon us, and we have, for instance, most of you will recognize this on the screen as Pythagorean's theorem. It basically says that if we know the length of side A and the length of side B, then we can plug those numbers into the formula and come up with the length of side C. That's easy. Then it's a lot like this as well with detecting lies and liars. We have A, we have the physical indicators. We have B, which are the verbal indicators. And we have a formula or assessments that we use in order to process those so that we get the answer we want to know. Did they lie to us or did they not lie to us, which would be C. It's a lot like that. Now, what if you don't remember Pythagoras' theorem? What if you forget that formula? Okay, you think, well, okay, algebra is nothing more than letters, numbers, and symbols. I'll just throw some out there and you write this down. I'm sorry, you're not going to get the same answer as you're going to get above. You have to know the process. You have to have the right process in order to get the answer for what you know. In other words, we know we have this verbal indicator. We know we have these physical indicators. And then we take them, plug them into an assessment, and we come out the back end with an answer. It's almost exactly like algebra. All right, here are some things that you must know. These are non-negotiable items. You must know these. There are videos on YouTube and some of the other services, and you can watch them over, and you can watch one after another of the indicators of lying. They're out there. There's plenty of them, but they're not going to do you any good. You can watch videos of indicators of lying all day long, but they're not going to do you a bit of good unless you know what you're looking for and how to assess and process what you see and hear. All right, let's begin with clustering. I don't care. We have these physical and verbal indicators. Sometimes, well, let me ask you this question. Let me back up a little bit. Have you ever been sitting in your office or in classroom or in a car or in a park and your nose itches and you reach up and scratch it? Yeah, probably everybody at one time scratched their nose, scratched their ear. Well, those are both indicators of lying. But now if you're sitting by yourself on the park bench, not talking to anybody, and you scratch your nose, are you lying? No, you're not. But yet that's an indicator of lying. So okay, now your brain's like, okay, well, I don't understand, Steve. I don't understand. How is it an indicator? Well, let me explain that to you. When somebody lies, I'm looking for a cluster. I don't care about one indicator. I don't particularly care about two, although I'll notice them. I'm looking for 3 or more indicators together. The more indicators that I have together in a cluster, the more sure I am that I have a lie. Now, what's a cluster? Is a cluster like, okay, well, I scratch my nose now, 30 seconds from now, I rub my neck, and then maybe 60 seconds or a minute later, I scratch my forehead or rub my forehead. Is that a cluster? No, that's not a cluster. A cluster is 3 or more indicators in a span of 5 to 6 seconds. I'm looking for 3 or more indicators in a span of around 5 or 6 seconds, maybe 7, somewhere in there. Not 10 seconds, not 12, not 15, not 60, 5 to 6 seconds. If I have 3 or more indicators in 5 to 6 seconds, I'm almost certain I've just been lied to. Now that goes down to the second one, the timing. I don't want them spread out. I want them, again, 5 to 6 seconds. Now, in order to determine if someone is lying, you have to it's absolutely mandatory. And it's a taxing thing to do. It keeps you busy. And it's very, very intensive. It's not easy, but you have to take a synergistic approach to the individual. You literally, honestly, you have to watch everything they do, listen to everything they say. You're watching from their feet to their head, their nose to their butt, fingertip to fingertip, and you're listening to the words they say, and you're watching how they say them. You're having to watch everything. All right, now, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, more into the synergistic part. A baseline. Some people will argue the fact that, well, I need a baseline. I need to know what somebody normally does to determine if they're lying and doing something different. Well, that's true. It's always better to have a baseline If you know somebody, it's always easier to tell if somebody's lying if you know them and you know their mannerisms, but it's not required. If you have a cluster of 3 or more indicators in 5 to 6 seconds, you got to lie more than likely. So a baseline is not necessarily mandatory. All right, now we have something called universal and individual indicators. I don't care about universal indicators. They mean nothing to me. Let's say that I'm bringing someone in for a homicide investigation. They're a suspect in a homicide investigation. When they come in to the interrogation room, do they have a right to be nervous? You're darn right they have a right to be. I would be nervous. They're being questioned about a homicide. Yes, they have a right to be nervous. Well, they're coming into my interrogation session, excuse me, nervous. I get that. I understand that. That's not a problem. Now, if I bring someone in to the interrogation as a homicide suspect and they're calm and they're collected, that's fine too. I don't have a problem with that either. But I have a problem with when I ask a specific question and then they become nervous. That's an individual indicator. Being nervous through the whole process is a universal. If they come in and they're constantly fidgeting with their fingers the whole time, that's a universal indicator. If they're constantly scratching their nose the whole time, that's a universal indicator. It's when they do individual things based on specific questions. That's what gets my attention. I want to know there's a reason why they're doing these things. There's a reason why I'm getting a cluster of individual indicators at a certain question. Is masking possible? Is it possible for someone to cover up some of these indicators? Of course it is. Of course it is. But it's impossible. It's physically impossible for a human being to mask all of the indicators. I know all these indicators. I could not possibly get away with lying. It's impossible. The autonomic nervous system kicks in. There's things that the body, the fight or flight syndrome, whatever you call it, the fight or flight syndrome kicks in. The body takes over and it does things. You can't stop it. So it's physically impossible to mask all of these indicators. And one last thing, if you're talking to somebody and you're trying to get the truth out of them and you believe or you know that they're under the influence of alcohol and or drugs, don't try. So that's obviously mind altering. It alters their personality. It can change their memory. They might remember, they may add stuff to it. Just walk away from any situation where you're trying to get the truth out of somebody if you believe they've been under the influence of alcohol or drugs. All right. If you believe either of these two things, I'm going to ask you to quit. Just stop. Just no more. We're effective right now. Don't even believe either of these. 73% of the population worldwide believe for some reason that if someone is talking to them and they will not look them in their eyes, that they're lying. That is not true. It can be true. Is that an indicator? If someone will not look you in the eyes, is that an indicator of lying? Yes, it is. It's a bad one, but it is. There's a number of reasons why somebody may not look you in your eyes when they talk to you. One of those, people who have PTSD, they're not always comfortable looking people in the eyes. People who have Asperger's, they may not be comfortable looking you in the eyes. People who have a low self-esteem, people who are shy, women in particular, or men or women, but women who have been abused typically won't feel comfortable looking people in the eye. All right. So if you use this thing, they won't look me in the eyes, they must be lying to me. You're basically calling those people in those 5 groups liars when they may not be really lying to you. They're just not comfortable. They're not at a position in their life, whether it be medical, psychological, or whatever, that they're comfortable looking you in the eyes. But now you're calling them a liar and they're really not. That's doing them an injustice, and it's giving you false information. But it gets worse. Let's make it even worse than that. If that's what you're using, we have people out here that I call professional liars. Most of them are psychopathic. Liars, they lie to lie to lie about the lie. They're good at it for the most part. So if they're looking you, and they know, most of these psychopathic liars know that this is an indicator of lying. So they'll make it a pointed effort to not look away. So you're using this, if they won't look me in the eyes, they're lying to me. And you're calling the people that are probably telling you the truth liars and believing the very person that's lying to you because you're using that one. Drop it. Just effective today. No longer use, if they're looking me in the eyes, they're lying to me. The other thing, folded arms. I hear that all the time. Well, that person's got his arms crossed. He must have something to hide. He must not be telling the truth. My question to those people who give me that argument is, do you walk around all day long like a zombie with your arms hanging down at your side? No, of course you don't. But nor do you walk around all day with your arms crossed. Any biology students in here will know, or AP students will know, that if you keep your arms stretched, certain muscles in your arm are tightened, certain muscles are loose or relaxed. And the opposite is true is when you fold your arms. Some are, the ones that were stretched may now be relaxed. You can't go around all day long with arms in one position. Sometimes you get cooled in a room, you cross your arms to get warm. So forget these two. The looking in the eyes, they're lying to me, or the folding arms, they're lying to me. Drop them and don't use them. All right, we're going to do some short videos before we get into actual indicators. And I'm not going to ask you to tell me your grade. These are just for you, just for your use. We're going to watch 3 very short videos. And what I want you to do is, as you're watching, now, none of these videos, I think none of these videos are like over 8 seconds long. They're very short videos. As you're watching the video, what I want you to do is look for any indicators of lying that you think you see. Do all of these videos have indicators? I don't know. You tell me. I want you to look for any indicators of lying you see. But if you see an indicator of lying, don't rush to your paper, because by the time you look back up, the video's ended. So you want to watch the whole video in its entirety before you make any entry on the paper, or you're going to miss the rest of them if there's any there. So we're going to take 30 seconds between videos to let you make a mark. If, for instance, if say video number 1, and you think you saw 3 lying indicators, well, then just take number 3 and circle it in, put an X in it, and the lines out beside the numbers. If you have time and want to make a note on what that indicator was, you can. It's not necessary. If you think that you saw no lies in the video, then just color in or check that box. I didn't see any lies. And then what we're going to do is, after you've done that, we're going to go back to these 3 videos and review them and let you see how you did. Again, I'm not going to ask for these back. We're not going to ask for your scores. Be very brutally honest with yourself. And if you got it wrong, you got it wrong. If you got it right, you got it right. All right. Let's watch video number 1. Again, these are very short, so don't look away until you watch the whole video. Why would I do that? I've never stolen anything in my life. All right, 30 seconds. Make your notes. And then we'll go to video number 2. All right, got a few seconds left. All right, let's go to video number 2. My bad, let's go to video number 2. There we go. Did I take the money? No, I did not take the money. All right, 30 seconds. Write down any indicators of lying that you thought you saw. If you just want to circle the number, that's fine. If you want to list them, again, this is for your use, however you want to do it. Get ready for number 3.
Why would I do that? That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. You have nothing better to do than. No, I did not.
All right, 30 seconds. And then we're going to go back and watch these videos and list each indicator of lying as they appear on the video. Okay, let's go review these.
Why would I do that?
All right, video number 1. Look at your sheet and see how many indicators of lying that you saw, because in the video, there were 5 indicators of lying in video number 1. Video number 2, there were 6. In video number 3, there were 6 as well. If you didn't do well, don't worry about it. We're going to do this at the end of this session and see how you improve. So these are just for you. Don't get upset. If you did get these, wonderful. Let's go back and look at these videos. Video number 1, we had something at the end. I don't expect you to know these, but I wanted to give you a test, an assessment at the beginning to see where you are, and then we're going to do it again at the end to see how much you learned. So number 1, video set number 1, the first thing we see is finger tinning. We're going to explain all these later, so don't worry if you don't understand. Finger tinning, then failure to deny.
Why would I do that?
Touch the ear,
I've never stolen anything.
then I groom myself, and then I clear my throat. All of those are indicators of lying. Some of those are in response to fight or flight. All right, let's go to video number 2. Fake smile. We'll just watch the video first. Oh, my bad. First, we have a fake smile. I repeat the question.
Did I take the money?
Then I eye shift, have eye shift to my right.
No.
Formal
I did not
language.
take the money.
And I look down, and then another fake smile. All right. Those were all indicators of lying. Let's go to the next one. If you don't understand these, don't worry about it, because we're going to explain them. Again, video number 3, failure to deny.
Why would I do that?
I get aggravated.
That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life.
Hand to
You have
forehead
nothing better to do
and look down. Sing the word no,
No, I did not.
and then the formal language. Okay. Put that aside. We're going to do this assessment again with some different videos. How good are humans at picking out lies? A recent study said that we're only about 18% effective. The average person can only pick out about 18% of all lies told them. In other words, 82% of the time, people are getting away with their lies. Maybe that's why it's costing us $1 trillion every year in financial losses. All right, here we go. Let's talk about the indicators. Verbal indicators, pronoun usage. A person who is lying will typically change personal pronouns. In other words, they won't use I as much, and they'll start using they or we. They're going to start removing themselves as much as possible out of the situation. So they're going to quit putting themselves in the forefront and start blending themselves in with others or blaming others. Another indicator is somebody that becomes angered or aggressive. If you are interrogating somebody or talking to somebody and they have an attitude of contempt, and you can see that contempt's a very violent emotion. If you see the eye squinting, or you see one corner of the mouth start to come off, you can tell this. Most people know when somebody has an attitude of contempt. If you see that, back out of that conversation. Stop and walk away. You can come back to it later, but you don't want to be involved in that conversation if there's contempt. That can be a very violent emotion. So back out of that. All right. Then we have what we call illusion. And you saw that in 2 of the videos, which is a failure to deny. It's not an outright, I didn't do it. It's a failure to deny. In other words, Stephen, did you murder your best friend, Sam? Why would I do that? I've never hurt anybody in my life. Did I answer the question? No, I didn't. I failed to deny by alluding to the fact that I didn't do it. Well, I've never hurt anybody in my life. So logically, why would I kill my best friend? All right. Then we have illusion. They want to elude you away from the question or the questioning. And this is often done by someone, you're in an interview, you're in the interrogation, and you ask, Stephen, did you murder your best friend, Sam? Well, he and I, hey, where did you get that shirt? They'll just completely change the subject on you. Where'd you get that shirt? I like that shirt. In hopes to elude you away, move you away from the line of questioning, not thinking, of course, you can come back to it, but they're trying to get away from answering that question. Now, and then we have something called exclusionary qualifiers, where they exclude themselves as much as possible. Well, for the most part, it doesn't specify. Usually, sometimes words that are not specific. Then we have perception qualifiers. Well, as far as I know, he wasn't there, or best I can remember, or I'm not really sure, but I think it's perception, answers based on what they remember or more often don't remember. All right. And then we have another thing called qualifying statements. And what they're doing here most of the time is trying to get you, they're trying to see if you're agreeing with them and you're buying their bull. They're trying to see if you're believing what they're telling you. So they'll say, you know what I mean? And they're looking for you to shake your head. Oh yeah, I got it. I understand. And that's what they're trying to do at this point. They're trying to get you to see if you agree with them, and they're winning the conversation. Another thing is what I call big information. And this is basically the difference between convincing versus conveying. Big information is when they give you a lot more information than is required by the question you asked. Teenagers, a lot of times, especially in America, I don't know about India or other parts of the world, teenagers are bad about this in America, where they want to give you all this bull, all this fluff about what happened, and that really wasn't what you asked. For instance, why were you late getting home last night? Oh, there was this great new restaurant that opened up and they serve hamburgers. And Mom, you wouldn't believe the French fries and milkshakes. Oh my goodness, the milkshakes were awesome. And anyway, Bill and I, we hung around the milkshake place and we got some milkshakes, and so you're getting more information than you asked for, called big information. What the person is trying to do is they're trying to convince you of their lie, or convince you of their story, rather than conveying the answer you asked. So anytime you get a lot of information that you didn't ask for, that's an indicator of lying. Someone who repeats the words or phrases over and over, it's an indicator of lying. Singing no, as you saw in the video, and that can be no or no. Anything like that where the word no is dragged on is an indicator of lying. Someone who answers your question when they invoke their religious deity, be it God or whatever, or they invoke their religion. Oh, my religion would not allow me to do that, or I swear to God, I could not. Anything along those lines is an indicator that they're going to be lying to you, or just did lie to you. If they're doing away with contractions, they're lying. If they're not shortening their words, if they're using more formal language, people who are lying will not use slang typically. They're going to use more formal speech. And in the video, you saw an example of the question repeat. Stephen, did you kill your best friend, Sam? Did I kill my best friend, Sam? It's a stall tactic. That's all that is. All right. Rate of speech. Someone who is lying will typically increase the rate of their words, the rate that they talk to you. Because of the fight or flight, you'll also possibly denote a higher vocal tone. It may be very minute, but because the vocal cords are muscle, and when the body is under stress, it tenses, and the vocal cords will tense up like a guitar string. And because they do, the vocal tone is going to increase in pitch. Inappropriate level of concern. Stephen, did you murder your best friend, Sam? No, I didn't. Well, that's not very convincing. You just murdered your best friend. Or let's say somebody in the break room takes somebody's ink pen by mistake, perhaps, or maybe on purpose, it doesn't matter. And somebody comes in and asks the person about it, did you take Sally's ink pen? Somebody took Sally's ink pen? Are you serious? They took her, I can't, see what I'm saying? It's an ink pen, chill. Inappropriate level of concern, too much concern over something trivial or too little concern over something major. All right, let's talk about the physical indicators. We have something called a Duchenne smile, which is a genuine smile. Then we have something that's a fake smile that is obvious. You can tell the two apart if you know what to look for. And I apologize. I'll skip that. Let's do this. Let's talk about the muscles used in smiling so that you can tell the two apart. We have a muscle set that is below the eyes and a muscle set that is above the eyes. And I'm not going to get into the pronunciation of the levator, labials, all that. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm going to show you where they are. These are the muscles that are used in fake smiles, but now they're also the muscles used in a genuine smile. So Steve, what's the difference? I'll tell you in just a second. These muscles here, these muscle groups here are used in smiles, whether they're fake or whether they're genuine smiles. The difference takes place in whether or not the person uses the eye muscles. If they're giving a fake smile, all they're going to do is flex the corner of their lips. That's all that's going to happen. If they're telling you that if they're giving a real smile or a genuine smile, the eyes are going to become involved. You're going to see a little squinting. Below the muscle, below the eyes, that's all they use is a lie. If they also squint and use the muscles above, you have the truth. All right. Eye shift. Now, depending on whether you are right-handed or left-handed, depends on eye shift, what eye shift you're looking for. If a person is right-handed and they look upper right, as you saw in the video a while ago, I did that. If they're right-handed, they look upper right while they're trying to answer a question. That is probably them trying to create a story where a story didn't previously exist. In other words, they're trying to come up with a lie. Now, if that same right-handed person looks upper left, they're probably trying to remember the situation that actually did happen or the truth. So, and I've come up with my own little shortcut to this. Right-handed person looks right, that's a lie. In other words, right, lie, RRL, right, lie. Now, if you have a left-handed person, it's just the opposite. A left-handed person who looks upper left is probably trying to come up with a lie, where the left-handed person who looks upper right is probably trying to remember the situation that really did occur or the truth. And let's look at, I apologize for the video, but that's sort of, it's sort of an over dramatization. It can be a lot more subtle than this, but there's what you're looking for. You're looking for eye shift. Again, it doesn't have to be that pronounced. All right. Now we talked about this a little bit a while ago too. Touching the nose, touching the ears, or fidgeting, rubbing the fingers together, fidgeting with the fingers. These are all three typically associated with stress and fight or flight. Because the body is stressed under the questioning, the body distributes the blood differently to the more vital organs, and the ears, the nose, and the fingers can cool and even itch. So you'll notice people scratching their nose or their ear, which, like we said, are all indicators of lying. All right. Blading. This can be done in a chair or standing. If someone is looking at you straight on and you start a conversation or you start questioning them and they're uncomfortable, they will do what we call blading. They will reduce subconsciously, attempt to reduce their exposure to you by turning their body slightly. In other words, you're not full on face to face. They're going to turn their body slightly. And they can do this in a chair by turning sideways, or they can do this standing by turning sideways. And it can look something like this. See that? Turn slightly. They're trying, and this is subconscious. They're trying to reduce their exposure, even though it's a small amount. You'll see this. All right. Object between you and them, and it can be anything. What they're trying to do with this indicator is they're trying to put a wall, if you will, something between you and them, like a wall of protection. They feel more comfortable if there's something between you and them. This can be a pen, a cup, a book, or anything. It can look something like this. Ask the question, uncomfortable, reach down, grab a cup, anything. It can be a fingernail clippers, anything. When they do that, suspect that they're lying to you. Now, you also saw this in the video, grooming. Women a lot of times will adjust a brooch or a necklace. Men sometimes will adjust their necktie, maybe their sleeves. They'll pick off imaginary lint that doesn't even exist. Anything that they comb their hair, for instance, or maybe women will paint a nail that's broken or anything like that. They're going to groom themselves. If they're doing that, suspect a lie. All right. You saw this one as well. They touch their forehead as they're looking down. Touch the forehead as they're looking down. You saw that in the video a while ago as well. I think there were 2 examples of that in the videos. All right. Covering mouth. Now, everybody pretty much knows this. If you cover the mouth, it's a subconscious effort in order to cover the lie. They're slightly embarrassed. They know what they're doing is wrong. So it's an effort I know I'm lying, but I'm going to try to cover it. Most everybody knows that you cover the mouth as an indicator of lying. All right. Blinking rate. When a person has told a lie, you'll notice the blinking rate will probably increase as much as 8 times more. Now, when they're telling, what I was started to say is when they're telling the truth, the blinking rate will usually stay the same. But after they've told the lie, you can notice an increase in their blinking rate. Yeah, I tell the lie, and then my blinking rate will increase. So remember back when I was talking about that lying indicators, assessing and doing these whole processes was a synergistic approach. Maybe you're starting to see a little bit about what I'm talking about. You're literally having to watch their feet, their arms, their hands, their eyes, everything. And it's a taxing. It's a very intensive thing to do, but you're having to watch all of them. And this is very simplified because you're just seeing me above the waistline. All right. Hiding the thumbs. The thumbs, for some reason, as well as finger tinting, seem to be in symbols of dominance, superiority, and confidence. So if someone has their thumbs up, they're confident about themselves. They're very confident who they are, what they know, their situation. If you're talking to someone and their thumbs are up and you ask them a question and their thumbs disappear, you're going to notice that their confidence level will probably also go down because they're not as sure as they were. They're stressed and they're probably lying to you. Let me go back. I didn't do that. You see, the thumbs are hidden. Now, if they were up, I would have a sense of dominance and superiority and be confident. But if you don't see the thumbs, suspect lie. They're not sure of themselves, so suspect a lie. Finger tinting. Now, let me make this plain, because I've had some people that misunderstood. Finger tinting is not an indicator of lying. It's the doing away of the finger tinting. A person, again, who has their fingers tinted is sure of themselves. They're very confident, self-assured, proud of themselves. But if you're, again, just like the thumbs, if they have their fingers tinted and you ask a question and it goes away, there's a reason for that. And it's typically the fact that you're being lied to. There's an example of that right there. Ask your question, the thing, it goes away. And it's a subconscious thing. They don't know they're doing it. All right. This is an easy one. Lip compression or lip biting. Someone asks a question and they pull their lips in together, or they bite their lips. Real simple thing. Real simple thing. All right. And let's go to the next one. Duping delight. Now, I told you about a video in our ex-president Bill Clinton's video, where he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. As you watch that video, when he finishes his speech or talk to the press, he will lower his head and start to turn to his left to walk away. Look at his mouth. It is a duping delight smile. Now, what is a duping delight smile? A duping delight smile is a smile from a person who believes that he has duped the people he was talking to. He believes that everybody that just heard what he or she said believes the lie. I also referenced a video on YouTube from Diane Downs, another prime example of a duping delight smile, where she talks about her daughter. She's the one that shot her kids in the backseat of the car. Prime example of a duping delight smile. It is a smile that is given because the person thinks that you have believed their lie. All right. Now we're almost finished. Okay, we got some time for questions. Another indicator is what we call an anchor point. An anchor point can either be your feet or your butt. If a person, and if you watch the Chris Watts video from here in America, the man who killed his wife, his pregnant wife, and his two daughters, you watch the first interview that they did outside his home, you're going to see some examples of anchor point shifting. If you're standing up, if someone's standing up and you're talking to them, asking questions, and they start shifting back and forth on their feet, their anchor points is where all the weight of their body is on their feet. So if they start shifting back and forth, they're becoming nervous and you're probably being lied to. Now, having said that, let me also caution you on using this indicator, because if somebody has been standing a long time, they're going to get tired of standing, and they're going to shift, and they may be telling you the truth. So if they've been sitting or standing for long periods of time, this is probably not an indicator that you're going to find is going to be very reliable, but it's very reliable at the beginning. The same is true about someone sitting in a chair. If they're sitting, sometime back, actually, I got a video, an interrogation video from here in the United States that they wanted me to review and determine if the person that they were interrogating was lying. Well, he was lying out his teeth. And one of the things that he did was he was shifting constantly in the seat between his buttocks, one after the other. But again, if a person's been sitting a long time, this is probably not something you want to put a lot of weight in. All right. And the last physical indicator we're going to talk about is eye and feet pointing. If you're talking to someone or you're interviewing them or interrogating them, and you notice that they keep looking at the door or even a window for that matter, or if you look at their feet and their feet are turned toward the door, that's an indicator that they're very uncomfortable talking to you. They don't want to be there. If they're uncomfortable and don't want to be there, there's probably a reason, and you're probably being lied to. All right. Now, dilated pupils. No, this is not a female version of Marilyn Manson. This is just an example to show you that when somebody's lying to you, their eyes may dilate some. That's because of the blood shift, the oxygen shift in the body. So you may also notice not only are they going to shift the eyes upper left, upper right, not only is their blinking rate going to change, but they're going to have to watch for dilated pupils while you're watching their feet and listening to their words and watching them scratch their nose and shift their anchor points. So when I say this is a synergistic approach, it really is. You have to really watch and listen to everything. All right. There's a couple of combination indicators. One is what we call verbal physical disconnect. And this is a result of what we call cognitive overload. The brain is working overtime. A couple of things are going on in the brain. Number one is they're trying to keep and build a story of a lie that you will believe and they can remember. They're having to remember this lie because it doesn't exist in the truth. And not only are they having to come up with a story, remember the story, they're having to keep the truth from coming out. So the brain is in cognitive overload with all this going on. So they will do things and say things that are not typical. For instance, sometimes they will answer, did you kill your best friend, Sam? And I'm saying no, but my head is shaking yes. If you try that, if you try, for instance, right now, say no and shake your head yes. It's very hard to do. But when your brain is so involved in thoughts and keeping things straight, you can do those things. And so if you ever see somebody shaking their head yes and saying no, or vice versa, suspect a lie. And we've already talked about no and looking down. If somebody says no and they look down, obviously that's a lie. All right, let's do some more videos. We've got 3 short videos. Again, the same thing, 3 videos. Oh, my bad. Watch the video in its entirety, then circle in any number of the indicators that you thought you saw. If you want to write some notes, do so. We're going to take 30 seconds between each video so you can do that. And then we're going to come back again and watch those videos and assess those. All right. So let's go ahead and start. Video number 1.
Why would I do that? That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. You had nothing better to do than... No, I did not.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Why would I?
All right, video number 2.
No, I did not. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I swear to God, I did not take that money.
30 seconds. All right, get ready for video number 3.
Did I take the money? No, I did not take the money.
All right, 30 seconds. We'll review all 3 videos like we did earlier. All right. Video number one. How many indicators of lying were there in video number one? 6. Video number 2, there were 3. Video number 3, there were 7. All right, let's look at those real quick. Real quickly, 1, failure to deny. I was aggravated. I rubbed my head to my hand. I looked down. I sang the word no. I looked away after no, and I used formal language in this one.
Why would I do that? That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. You had nothing better to do than. No, I did not.
Okay. Next video. Video number 2, there were just 3. I sang the word no. There were no contractions. There was more formal language, and I invoked God or religion.
No, I did not. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I swear to God, I did not take that money.
All right. The final video was a fake smile. I repeated the question. Eye shift, formal language. Again, I looked down after no. My hand to the head, and a duping delight smile at the end.
Did I take the money? No, I did not take the money.
All right. While we're here, something I forgot to mention that I want to mention to you. What if you have a suspect, if you're in law enforcement or you're an investigator, or you're a forensic specialist and you're talking to somebody at the scene, how do you know sometimes if that person is right-handed or left-handed? Well, obviously look and see if you can tell. If I have somebody in interrogation and I don't know if they're right-handed or left-handed, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm not going to do just one thing. I want to do a couple of things because I want to see. First, I want to ask them to write something. That usually is always a telltale sign. Another thing that I might do is just get up. I'm not going to ask them. I won't ask if they want something to drink. I'm not giving them an option. I'll just get up, excuse myself from the interrogation room, go to the cooler, refrigerator, get a bottle of water, and I will come back and I will walk to them straight on. They're sitting down. I will walk straight to on the other side of the table to them, and I will hold that bottle of water out right in the middle of their body and see which hand that they take it with. So I'll do 2 or 3 things and see which hand, if it's the same hand they use. That's a couple of ways that I tell whether they're right-handed or left-handed if I don't know. Usually, though, by the time I'm in interrogation, I know. But if you don't, those are some things that you can do. All right. Did you improve from your first set of videos to the last? I hope so. All right. I am, that is all for me. I did finish actually just a little over an hour, but I am done, and I do appreciate you having me here.
Mr. Stephen, in fact, your sessions, the topics what has been covered probably for most of the audience here, it's definitely an eye opener, because while detection of lie has been a real time or the life skill actually for the most of the students or the most of the people in the everyday life, it is definitely required. And as you rightly mentioned, the aspects what you are going to present here, even though we know that it is a lie, okay, can we really confront a person depends on the application and the role which you are playing with the subject. So hence, I believe the topic was made very simple for everyone to understand here. Dear participants, while thanking the guest for the day, I would now take up the questions. Please raise your hand on the screen so that I can allow you to pose the question to the speaker. Okay, one of the question, okay, what I have been reading is that how was the comparison, okay, between the recent techniques of lie detection when compared with the traditional method of lie detection? The latest advancements is what the question is about, Mr. Stephen.
Okay, I'm not sure I understood that. I'm not sure I understood what the question.
What are the recent technologies available for detection of deception?
Okay, I'm not understanding the question. I apologize.
Never mind. I'll allow the speaker to speak so we can take the question. Okay.
No, I think it's my speakers actually. It's on my end. It's not yours.
Okay, so I'll make the question again. So what are the recent techniques, the latest developments for detection of the deception?
Well, there's okay. I apologize for my speakers.
No.
There's some work going on beyond the actual watching of people. There's a lot of work going on as far as the biology of it. Is for, the brain and some brain scans. I'm not familiar with all those, and I'm also not a polygraph operator. But there are some researchers going through some brain scans. And I understand they're making some really great advancements as far as the visual and the techniques that I use. Pretty much the same. It's pretty much, it changes a little bit because society in general may change some. But as far as the advancements of lie detecting are mostly now in the biology, the medical, psychological sector, as far as the scans and what the anatomy and physiology of it all.
We have a participant, Shanu. Who's your question, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving me such a lot of knowledge. But I have a question that if no symptoms and sign, अगर कोई sign and symptoms दिखते ही नहीं है किसी people में, तो how can we detect that she or he is lie?
That how do you detect that she lies?
Shanu, can you pose the question completely in English?
Oh.
Stephen, she's asking that how you can detect if there is no symptom on the facial feature or the other microexpression. So how we can detect that the person is lying or not?
Well, if there's no indicators, as far as what I do, if there's no indicator, there's always going to be some. There will always be an indicator of some kind. Now, it's a little tougher, if I'm understanding the question correctly, it's a little tougher if you have somebody that is a psychopathic liar. Because what you have then, if they're a psychopathic liar, it's a lot tougher because you'll find that these individuals sometimes they honestly believe the lies they're telling are truth. So you may not get as many indicators. So if you have somebody that is a chronic and avid liar, and I had somebody, had some dealings with some guy some months back. He knew, there was no doubt, he knew very well that I was able to tell he was lying, but yet he would not stop. He just kept on. And you have people like that. If you have a professional liar or a psychopathic, it's going to be a lot tougher if to pick out lies on that person, but it can still be done. It's just not as easy. And I don't know if the first person you're talking about is that, but again, I'm not a polygraph operator, never have been, and I'm not in on the latest advancements. These are just the techniques that I actually learned on my own. I did not know at the time that there was a whole study out there, and these things actually could be taught. I sort of learned these on my own. But yeah, if you've got somebody that's a professional liar, it's going to be a little tougher. If I answered the question, I hope I did.
Yeah. Nitya Singh, pose your question, please.
Yes, so if we were talking on the phone calls or on telephones, then how can we detect a liar? Then we are not seeing the person and we cannot detect his indicators.
Yeah, no, it's a lot tougher on the telephone. You can actually detect lies in text messages and on the telephone. It's just a little tougher because you don't, If you're on the telephone, you don't have the advantage of seeing the physical body. You're not going to see the eye shift. You're not going to see the scratching, but you're still going to hear the verbal indicators. And you can use those just like you can both of them. You're just missing out. And when you're considering somebody lying, and I have a separate class on lying while texting. It's not as long as this one, thank goodness. But you can tell if somebody's lying by texting using a lot of the same techniques here, but there's also some different ones that we throw in there as well. But yes, you can do that using, obviously the physical indicators you can't use because you can't see the person, but some of the same ones, like a behavioral pause, where a person takes a long time to answer. So you've been having a regular conversation back and forth, and now you ask a question and it's like, oh, they take a while. Now, you also have to understand that sometimes when you're texting, you don't know what the other person's doing or going through on the other end. A pause may be legitimate, or it may be they don't know how to answer the question truthfully and they're thinking of a lie. So there are some of the same techniques in telephone and texting. You just don't have the advantage of the physical indicators. Thank you.
This only means that, having a gut feeling about a lie and being conclusive that the person is lying has a lot of difference. So, which might be an indicator, but you definitely have to have a first-hand approach of detection of the lie on the by personal interaction is what is recommended. Mansha Gosin.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the session. Sir, my question is, while interrogating, how can we differentiate from normal anxiety and criminal lie and lie indicators?
Okay. I didn't catch all of that. Repeat that for me if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So my question is, how can we differentiate between normal anxiety of people and lie indicators?
I'm not.
Mansha, can you repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
I apologize for my equipment.
No problem, sir. Sir, my question is, how can we differentiate between normal anxiety indicators and lie indicators?
Okay.
While interrogating a person.
Well, they're a lot the same. Whenever you have someone that is lying to you, they're under stress and they're having anxiety. It's part of the fight or flight. If I'm understanding the question, I think I am. If you're talking to somebody and they feel threatened, whether it's a small scale or a major scale threat, the body's going to react. They're going to become stressful. They're going to become anxious. And they're going to do these things when they're not even realizing that they're shut me off so you hear me better instead of looking at me. They're going to do these things that are typically stress related, such as the fight or flight. They're going to scratch their nose. They're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to shift. They're going to do the blinking rate. Anybody that's lying is going to have a certain degree of anxiety. Now, there are people also that are just anxious individuals. They're always like that. And that's where you're going to use the universal indicator or the universal indicator versus the individual. If they come in anxious and they're anxious, then you know how they're going to act. And then that throws back to the baseline as well. They're going to be anxious. So their anxiousness, whether it be fidgeting, whether it be whatever they're doing, is not important. That's not important because it's going to be of no use to you whatsoever, because that's just the way they are. And that's the way they're just an anxious individual. It's the individual indicators that you're going to look at.
All right. Prince and Lobo.
Hello, sir. Sir, I have a question. When we do interrogation, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
When we
Go
do
ahead.
the interrogation, sir, we take a suspect into the interrogation room where we have CCTV closed circuit cameras. Will it help us later also while we do the examination of the body language, or what will be the signs what we get for the detection?
Yeah, and actually having a camera is a great attribute because, like I said, when you're looking at someone, there's a lot on your plate, so to speak. You're having to watch. It's very difficult. It's not easy to do this and having to watch and listen to everything. So, but if you do have a camera, you can go back and watch it later. But yes, I'll be happy to do that. Help if any way I could.
Thank you.
Devalina Sarkar.
Yeah, hi. Hello.
Yes.
So I was wondering if it is possible for detecting a lie in an email or in a written matter or in a question answer on a written form.
It is possible. It's a lot more difficult. That's where when you're talking about an email or a document, that's where, and then again, that's a little out of my area. I don't do the document. I forget the word I'm looking for. I'm not a document specialist, but there are obviously keywords and phrases and things and pronoun shift, even in letters. But I'm not that familiar with the document reading and that sort of thing. But yes, it is possible.
Thank you. It was a nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack. Please unmute your microphone to ask the question. Neha Bayali. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, Jack.
Thank you, sir. Hello. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, Mr. Jack, I'm sorry, your microphone is not so audible, so you can please put your question on the chat box. I'm going to take up the question. So, Neha Bayali.
Yes, sir. Hello and good afternoon. So, my question is that it is said that when people can lie outside of hypnosis, they can lie in hypnosis. They can fake the hypnosis and they can lie when they're in hypnosis. So
Okay, I had a hard time hearing that because of the echo.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My mistake got muted. I would like to repeat my question.
Okay.
So it is said that when a person can lie outside of hypnosis, he can lie during the hypnosis too. So what is your take on this?
Lying under hypnosis, is that what you are saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that because I'm not familiar with hypnosis. I would think though that being hypnosis would get to quote unquote the bottom, get the facts. I would think that there would not be. My take on that would be that there would not be any indicators of lying under hypnosis. But again, I can't answer that concretely because I'm not familiar with how hypnosis works. But I just me saying, I would think that there would not be a problem with lying indicators on hypnosis.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sombrata Punjab. Somabrata Punjab.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. My question actually related to the narco analysis. Actually, I want to know that people who are trained to master body language science to hide the lies. But in these cases, can we use narco analysis? And if so, how much it is allowed for narco analysis to detect lies?
Okay, I heard the part where you said, can you use this and how much, but I missed the first part.
The first part, I want to say that in some criminal cases, criminal mind cases, if they are trained or they may know to hide the body signs by which they can hide the means the lie indicators. In
Oh,
those
about
cases,
about hiding some of the indicators.
yes, means
Yes,
hiding, yes,
yes,
hiding
it is possible. It is possible to hide some of them. I mean, it's, you know, you like I was saying in the earlier, if you have a psychopathic liar, one of the things that they know we're looking at is if they look away, which is why I don't use that one, because they know we're looking for that. Is they'll if they know we're looking for that, then they'll mask that. They'll make an effort to stare at you and not look away. But really inside, it's an effort for them to do that because they want to look away. So it's a concerted effort on their part. But yeah, it's possible to go into interrogation as a suspect and sit perfectly still. Make your arms wrap around, your hands wrap around the arms of the chairs and not scratch your nose. But they can't stop the dilation. They can't stop there's things they can't stop. And I'm looking for those things. It's humanly impossible. It cannot be done that a human can mask all of the indicators. Can't be done.
Okay, and second part of the question, what I want to say that is narcoanalysis allowed or it is used where we have to find out some critical thing. In those cases, can narcoanalysis be used? And if it is used, then to how much extent it can be used?
You talk about the use of these techniques like in other areas or like government or something. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that I also put the questions in the chat box that how much, how to much extent authorities can use that thing.
Well, I don't know worldwide, but I know here in the United States that our FBI uses these as well as our CIA does. Matter of fact, there's another lady, and I can't remember her name. She teaches this course like I do, and she's spent many years in the CIA. So it's used by some very reputable. And again, I'm not familiar worldwide. I would think there's a lot of other countries.
Definitely, sir.
But yeah, it's used quite a lot actually.
Okay, sir.
Just to add on to this,
thank you, sir.
Just to add on to this, the technique of narco is scientific process. And depending upon the legal permissibility, this technique can be used in the appropriate countries. And the question is about Indian context, please refer to the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment between Selvi versus State of Karnataka, where the judges has highlighted as to how the techniques can be used, what techniques are allowed and what techniques are not allowed. You can refer to the judgment for better understanding about this. I have one question from Mr. The participant Pranjal Yadav. I'm not sure if it is Mr. or Miss. The question is, at what extent these physical parameters are affected by the fear of examination for a person who is not even lying? The question is, what is the differentiation between a normal fear and the fear of guilty?
Well, yeah, it's like sort of like I talked about a while ago. If I brought somebody in and they're innocent, but I don't know that, but they're innocent and they know they are, and they come in, they're going to be nervous most times, and I get that, I understand it, but I take that into account. You're going to have people that some people just they're not even comfortable talking. They're very shy, and they're not even comfortable talking to you, much less being interrogated. So yeah, you're going to have that. You're going to have people that are just inherently nervous and apprehensive about it all. But that will usually show itself in universal indicators. They're going to be that way from the very beginning all the way through. And so whatever they're doing when they walk in the room or whatever they're doing all the way through, I'm not really paying a lot of attention to that. I want the specifics of the individual questions. I want to watch the question that I ask them that causes them to give me these clusters of 3 or more indicators in those 5 or 6 seconds. Yeah, people are nervous.
Participants,
some more than others.
Yeah. Participants, I'm taking the last question for the day, and I recommend you to pose your questions on the YouTube link, what we have has been broadcasting this session. So we'll definitely get back to you with the appropriate answers. So for this day, I'm taking the last question. Yugul Patak.
Yeah. Yes, sir. My question here is about in case of sleeper cells or some terrorist which act as sleeper cells, and they are living like a normal people between all the communities we are having, and all the people, the normal, they look normal human beings. So how will we able to detect the lies or the special activity in them that they are not normal? Because I have seen many cases where sleeper cells are living from 5 to 10 years between normal people, and they are not being detected, and after some terrorism activity only they are detected that these were the terrorist people. So what can be the body traits or special things which can check on these people to detect them?
All right, I think I understood the question. You're talking about, and I think you're referencing someone who has a mania, perhaps, who is so set on doing something that everything else doesn't matter. Is that what you're asking?
Sir?
Let me pose a question. See, while the question is about in cases of terrorism, okay, and people, unless and until they are actually caught, okay, they will then be set as a terrorist. But in normal sense, how will be their behavior? How can you identify that they are terrorists, and how can you identify their statements in general terms as they are lying? Am I correct?
Well, it applies the same way. I mean, you're going to have people in different mental states. You're going to have people in different physical states. The techniques apply the same way. Some are going to be harder to apply based on the individual's mental state, physical state, or both. The mania, as I call it, the intense desire to achieve a goal such as a terrorist, nothing else matters. That's a psychological state of accomplishing of goal or whatever it is. You're going to have, it's going to be tougher on some of these folks. It's going to be a lot tougher to ask questions. People who have been abused may not say a whole lot. May not want to answer the questions. Somebody that's on a mission, such as a terrorist, is not going to want to say a lot. They're going to be avoidant. They're going to have their mind somewhere else. But the same techniques apply. It's just going to be a little tougher.
Thank you very much.
If I answered your question,
Mr. Yugal. Okay. Stephen, I believe the answer was appropriate, and I believe we have taken the different questions which actually covers different dimensions of the topic. And with all said and done, this topic is a very lengthy, and this cannot just be answered with one or two questions like this. But I believe the session was a wonderful session, and a lot of people, including me, including different people here, had to learn something new from your experiences, what you shared. So I thank you for your session. I request Dr. Ranjit to present the certificate. Dr. Ranjit.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me. And again, my sincere apologies to my speakers on my end. I do not have my headset, and I apologize for that. Ordinarily, I have a headset, and this would not have been a problem, but I apologize for my not being able to hear all the questions properly.
Never mind. So, however, Stephen, on behalf of Dr. Ranjit, I'm sharing the certificate virtually. Yes. Stephen, I request you to please accept this certificate on the virtual platform. A copy of this would be sent to you on the email very soon on this. So on behalf of SIFS, on behalf of Dr. Ranjit Singh, I, Paninder, would like to extend this gratitude for your time and the knowledge what you have shared with us this morning. And this definitely going to be a remarkable session on the Independence Day, what we are celebrating here in India.
Well, I appreciate it again. Next time, if you ever have me back, I'll make sure that I have my headset.
Okay. Together with this,
thank you so very much.
Stephen, I'm going to request you to launch the newsletter. The Clue for Evidence Foundation is releasing the 3rd edition of the newsletter on the theme this month's theme is about psychology, and we are happy to have you and request you to release the newsletter. The link of the newsletter has been sent to you on your chat box.
Okay, thank you.
You can just copy that link and share it with all the people here so that we call it as the official launch of the newsletter.
Sure, be happy to. Sure.
The information for all the participants. You can find the newsletter which is released by Clue for Evidence Foundation. And this one's team we have covered the topic on psychology. And there are around 30 and plus different articles on different topics of psychology, which includes criminal psychology, abnormal psychology, and animal psychology as well. So this there has been a lot of attempts to make this newsletter very interesting. And I believe everyone would actually get benefit out of the newsletter. So for the purpose of everybody's access, I am sharing the link on behalf of Mr. Stephen.
Okay, great. Yeah, send me that. I'll share.
The link is now available on the chat box. Okay, so Mr. Stephen, I thank you very much for launching this newsletter. There is a third edition of Clue for Evidence News. So with this, I would like to extend my gratitude and thanks to all the participants, all the volunteers who have made this event. There has been a lot of attempts, a lot of preparation here for this kind of events. And I thank the volunteers and the team who is, all right, it's our dedicated team. So I would like to thank one and all for this wonderful session, to make this session happen like this. So here are a few volunteers who have been striving very hard with their personal time to make this event happen. So participants, this is what the certificate we are issuing for our volunteers. So please accept this on the virtual platform, and I'm going to tell you how you can actually get your certificates. Please follow with this video right now. So to all the volunteers, this is where we are issuing the certificates.
Wow.
It's a big list of volunteers, because without their efforts, the session would never have happened. And the participants, for all the registered participants, please note the link from where you can download your certificates. Your certificates are ready, and it's just a click away from your side. So please log on to this website. I'm going to please click the photograph on your mobile phone so that you can get the link to download your certificates. And this is where you can enter your email address to download your certificates. So with us,
thank you.
Dr. Ranjit, you're here with us?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Stephen, for taking out time, as I'm in a different condition. So I have lots of background noise. That's why I muted my mic. And I thank you all my team, volunteers, for making this event successful. I thank you, Faninder sir, for hosting this event in my absentia. And also, I'd like to invite you all which event we are going to organize in Mumbai in September 2021. And for the international symposium, and hope by that time all the pandemic will be clear and we all can meet in person in place of this virtual things. This all event success is just because of my lovely team and my volunteer team, and the speaker like Stephen for giving their time. So it's a special thank to Stephen for accepting, because he has written lots of books and I used to follow him and his posts, his books, and his everything. So it's completely honored for Sherlock Institute of Forensic Science to host your session. And soon we are going to come with a long session also with the different steps with your collaboration, with the collaboration of Horizon Institute of Forensic Science and Sherlock Institute of Forensic Science. Together we can do several other courses. So Stephen, I need a closing remark from your side.
I want to thank you. And by the way, happy Independence Day. I appreciate you inviting me. I really do. It's an honor A big honor for me to be able to be here, and I appreciate you inviting me and having the confidence in me to have me be a part of this. Thank you so very much.
So thank you all the participants. Happy Independence Day. Enjoy your day and see you on the next session very soon. Thank you, Stephen. See you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Faninder sir. I'm just closing the session.
So, ji, एक minute. Participants are asking for
Yes.
the certificate link. I'm sharing that. You can close the broadcast.
Yeah. So 1 second. So let me show you that how you can get your certificate. Let me show you the live. You have to visit the website called forensicevents.com. You just go on the forensicevents.com. You will find that link of download certificate. And once you will click on the download certificate, you will find you have to put your email address, and by putting your email address, you can download your certificate. Even later on, you can verify your certificate also from here. So if anyone have any issue related to this, they can connect to us on our WhatsApp. We will give the complete information on our WhatsApp group how to download.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Francis, sir. All you just subscribe the newsletter so that you all can receive that copy of the newsletter, because we have a number of subscribers, and our team Proof for Evidence and this SIFS, we are reaching to all the forensic fraternity with this exciting newsletter of the forensic psychology, basically of the psychology topic, and it's completely our honor that Stephen, person who is expertise in the subject, has launched our newsletter. So thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for giving your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Thank you all.
it. Well, have a great
Thank you
Independence
all.
Day.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.